Hi, you're listening to Around the Valley. This is Sean Tellis. It is July 10th. We have some great guests for you today, and I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Lucia Flores, and I'm host of Rock and Rolas here on Mid-Valley Radio, and I'm also a resident of Baldwin Park.
Hi, I'm Kristie Hang, and I run a hyper-local food blog about the San Gabriel Valley.
I'm Florence Simpson, and I work for LA Unified School District with food service. I'm also a board member of La Casa de San Gabriel.
My name is Art Landing. I'm the webmaster of the Rosemead Kiwanis website, and I work with Sean Tellis, bringing us news of Rosemead and the San Gabriel Valley.
I'm Lisa Klein, and I wrote a book called 33 Dream Prompts Using Imagination for Restful Sleep and Stress Relief. It's designed to help people who have fast-paced minds and a hard time falling asleep transition easily to deep, rejuvenating sleep.
My name is Trevilla. I'm president of the Nuvein Foundation for Literature and the Arts, a nonprofit based out of El Monte that organizes artistic events, and we hand out scholarships to arts-oriented students all over the San Gabriel Valley.
All right, guys, you can see we have a full house. Who has something that's going on that's interesting? Let's talk about this art thing that you're doing. I've never heard of the nonprofit before. I'm from San Gabriel myself. You guys are based in El Monte, right?
Yeah, our headquarters, we right now we're in the middle of transition. The nonprofit started as kind of the vision of our founder, Enrique Diaz, the late Enrique Diaz. He was a member of DEMBA. He owned and operated a business called Digital Business and Design College on Lower Azusa. He was also an adjunct professor for web design and creative writing over there at Mount Sac. And the nonprofit's been around since around 2007, but as an online magazine longer, probably since about 2002.
So what's the kind of the stuff that we would know you guys from?
Yeah, we organize artistic events. I guess the bigger events locally here that kind of make us known is we run all kinds of workshops, whether it's create your own comic book or live art or poetry workshops here at the El Monte Libraries, Norwood, South El Monte, and El Monte Library. But the bigger events that we're known for is the annual Day of the Dead that we do here at the Valley Mall. Where we get about 5,000 people to attend at each one. This is our third year doing it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. You guys had a lot of Aztec dancers and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's right. We also help organize the La Puente Art Walk, which is another emerging arts quarterly event.
It's cool. When I first read about that, I was shocked because one of my best friends lives in the West Covina La Puente kind of border, and I wouldn't think of it as being like an art walk place, and I wouldn't even know where it would be. But I think it's such a cool idea. Where is it taking place?
It's actually taking place in the historic Old Town La Puente, right next to City Hall, the library, the senior center there, and several other Old Town La Puente businesses. Some people might have only encountered Old Town La Puente if they're fans of True Blood, where some of the scenes from last season were filmed there. And so that's a cute little factoid, or cool, depending on how you want to view it.
That's cool. All right, we'll definitely put a link to that on our Facebook and just everywhere we can. Let me use that as a cross point to move over here to a different nonprofit. I was at a press conference recently at a place called Asian Youth Center, which is in San Gabriel, and they're doing something with La Casa, which is another nonprofit in San Gabriel, and I have someone named Florence here to talk about it. Do you want to give us a little spiel here?
Yeah, basically, La Casa de San Gabriel has joined with the Asian Youth Center and the City of San Gabriel to do a summer food drive. Both of our nonprofits, we service the San Gabriel community and surrounding areas. We're not large enough so that we get donations from the regional food banks, so it creates a challenge for us to have people basically donate food and help fill our pantries throughout the year. So
one of the things that I didn't know about until recently is even the La Casa and Asian Youth Center existed. I grew up in San Gabriel my whole life, and I don't know why. I think maybe those organizations are so busy doing work that they don't do a lot of publicity. But do you want to tell us a little bit about maybe what La Casa does and food banks in general? I think some people maybe aren't even familiar with that.
Yeah, La Casa basically provides services for our community, and also we act as a resource, as a referral resource as well. We have a preschool that has about 48 children enrolled. We always have a waiting list. It's a wonderful preschool. My daughters actually attended it. And we've had generations of people go through La Casa's preschool, learn English as their language, and be able to transition easy into kindergarten. We also provide other facilities for adult learning as well, English courses, banking courses, We also serve as a facility for different Alcoholic Anonymous and other programs that come in. We have a folklorico dance program. So it's really a kind of a multicultural center. And the Asian Youth Center as well provides a lot of opportunities for the Asian community as well, after school and school-sponsored programs and things. So it's nice that for us to join together, because we do want to have outreach and get everybody aware of the services that we provide.
La Casa also houses a Gabrielino Tongva.
That's correct. Right? Yes, they do. And there's someone there every day, Monday through Friday. So it's another wonderful resource. So we do a lot of services. I'm a new board member. I've just come on board this past month. So we're kind of trying to refocus our communications and our website, update our information so we can really reach out to people and get a better understanding.
Oh, that's nice. And this food drive, you want to talk about food banks?
Yeah, the food drive goes till July 31st. You can go to your local fire station or the police department or the library is working with us. The city also as well has donation boxes. If you're a business out there, we'd love for you to have a box, put a box out and help us collect canned goods and basically goods that will last for about 4 to 6 months for us to help stock our food pantries.
Yeah, that's good. I think actually I have a box, so if anyone wants to give me any food, I will. I promise not to eat it. I promise to take the box out of my trunk and put it somewhere important.
Yeah, and it's a huge need. We in LA County are well above the national average for people who are unable to really provide food for themselves continuously throughout the year. So the national statistic is about 15% of families face what we call hunger, food instability, where they don't have a constant source of either food or income to buy food. In LA County, it's 25%. So that's huge, and it's 1 out of 6 children. So and that basically, affects their development. It affects their ability to do wonderful creative things like art and things. So we want to really try and reach out, get people who have to provide and help for those who don't.
Art, you work with something like that, don't you?
Yes, I was not knowing whether I should go on the air with it or not, but our Kiwanis Club works very closely with People for People. I don't know if you know of that group. They have the food bank up on Las Tunas, and they have the same problem that she is talking about, a tremendous amount of demand at a time when several of the food banks in the San Gabriel Valley have closed. And you've had these reductions in funding from the federal government. The city of Rosemead is the only city in the San Gabriel Valley that actually puts out money into the food banks. They put out about $20,000 a year. The city of San Gabriel, Monterey Park, the other cities don't even do that. So these food banks need the help of the local communities, and there are now fewer of them in a bad economy, and it has been creating a great problem. And I believe you were talking about the Asian Youth Center. I believe that's the group that Ray Rudell is part of. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
He works very closely with us. He and I work on the Rosemead Connections together, and they also do a tremendous amount of work in their anti-smoking programs and things of that type.
Yeah, that's good.
So all of these groups working together is how we are making a change and making a difference here in San Gabriel. I'm happy to know about the new group in San Gabriel.
Yeah, I think it's nice. We mention Rosemead Connections every now and again, but they're basically a group, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Art, but there are a lot of nonprofits that get together and work with the city, and they try to talk about the issues, kind of like a coordinating council. And Rosemead does a very good job. And when I first learned about Asian Youth Center and La Casa kind of teaming up, I thought, I hope that could lead to something like that. Because, I get to spend some time with the different people that run those organizations, just talking to them, because I'm always trying to get press for them. And there's such interesting and amazing people who run these kind of things, because you end up working 24/7 and getting paid, for 7. And the kind of person that does something like that is really an interesting and unusual and good person. So
my biggest advice for any nonprofit, and this is a model that since being voted in as president this year, I'm a reader. I'm a voracious reader. I like to read articles or things that pertain to the efforts that we're trying to do at Nuvein. And a lot of the trending articles nowadays regarding running an NPO or a charitable organization of any type is that you need to really surround yourself with like-minded organizations in order to survive, especially in the times. Only because the nature of what's called development or fundraising or grant writing is changing. And the only way to kind of give yourself a better shot of thriving and at least looking with a long-term view of how you're going to have self-sustainability will certainly be by making your organization an asset to others, so that in some way when you submit those requests for grants or endowments and things like that, they can see that you have made a substantial effort to not only improve the footing of your organization, but others as well. Speaking on that, we received a grant early this year from the California Community Foundation to do an event called the Young Artist Expo. And really what that was an event in this last June for all high school students in the city of Omaha. It was a categorical grant where we got a grant to do an event for high school students that wanted to go into the arts, specifically in the city of Omaha. But they made it very clear that they wanted us to basically engage the local community in any local resources. So those kind of efforts really kind of yield high dividends and make you more likely to help your cause. I know, like, a lot of times when running a nonprofit or any kind of cause, you think you're too small. And I think part of the great American dream, and I know it sounds cliche, is that you should dream big, and you should never really short sell. Whether you're an author, a painter, a dancer, you should always go in there saying, I can do this.
Right.
And so when and I don't want to be rude or anything, but whenever I hear people saying, oh, we're small, we're too small for this, I tend to want to say, no, you're not. No, you're not. Because you're here. Other people are not around this microphone right now.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
everybody can become a part of these organizations too as you listen in. And just hearing those statistics that 15% of people in America are struggling to find food. 1 in 6 children don't have enough food and they're developing, so that has, tons of consequences. And I have some food in the back of my cupboard that I haven't touched in a year. I need to grab those cans, put them in Sean's box, put them in any local business's box, and get them out there to the people who need it, where we can really do some help.
Yeah, you know what's another great local story that ties back into food is, and it's in the Mid-Valley News, it's coming out on Wednesday, is South Omani has an organic farm. And I never knew about it. I don't know if you heard about the San Gabriel Valley Conservation Corps. Yes. But, they basically work with youth in the San Gabriel Valley. It's a much longer and interesting story, much more interesting than I'm giving it credit for. But they have an organic farm behind the Ramada Inn in South Omonte. It's 4 acres, and it's organic. Like when you talk about what kind of pesticides, at the very, very most, they use like some kind of oil that's, but for the most part, the guy just shows me his fingers and they just smush bugs with their fingers and that's how they kill, Wow. And they sell all that stuff on Saturdays. You can go and get things for 50 cents, $1, $2, because that's one of the other things is even if you have food, a lot of people, that don't have as much money, you have to buy what's cheaper. And what's cheaper is usually not as healthy.
Right.
And, that leads to all these other problems too. So it's nice to have something like that, be able to report something like that, and then hopefully people can come and buy it because it's hard enough to get it done, but then they have to advertise and let people know.
Yeah, I have to start just blurring. I really appreciate all the work the San Gabriel Valley Conservation Corps does. They have volunteered at our events, at our Day of the Dead event, at our Young Artists Expo, and countless other events. And we always look forward to partnering with them because they raise such awareness about recycling, take care of the earth. And the fact that they engage local Almani at-risk youth and get them involved in taking care of the environment, volunteering, doing these projects, teaching them these vocational skills, and at the same time building up their self-esteem and confidence for them to be productive members of society, that's a great organization. That's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned.
Completely agree. I've worked with them when I worked at Amigos de los Rios, which is a nonprofit that does stuff with trees and money. I work with them with Pio Pico, State Park in Whittier. And yeah, they're great. Daniel Oaxaca, I think, is the name of the gentleman who runs that organization. And really, really good stuff. Moving on to lighter topics, let's talk about food and books, but the fun side of food. And then, do you want to remind us again what you do and...
Well, I'm Kristie, and I run a hyperlocal food blog focusing on the San Gabriel Valley with my partner Clarissa. And we just think the best way to reach out to people is through food. Who doesn't love some delicious food? A lot of problems that we see in the San Gabriel Valley is people aren't proud of where they're from. There's not a lot of community activism. And we think that the best way to do that is through food, through introducing people, hey, look how amazing this place is. Let's all get together. Let's all have a great meal and see what we can do for the 626 area. And I think that really shows up, especially organizations or media outlets like Patch, they don't really have members that speak the language that's needed to communicate with people effectively in the San Gabriel Valley. And I think the two of us together really try our best to do a good job at that.
Yeah, and with your guys' Twitter handle is what's like a
626 Foodettes.
Foodettes. Yeah, I love that. That's a great name. And yeah, it's one of the things that some people, especially if you're from here, they just don't believe me when I say people drive from all over just to eat, in your backyard. And, I have a friend who comes from West Hollywood to come shopping here in San Gabriel. And, people will call me a liar if I say that to certain people in San Gabriel because they don't understand that what we have is so unique in terms of quality, in terms of pricing, in terms of variety.
I think it's just so amazing that the food here really can compare or even be better than the food in Asia. The fact that there's so many different types of people here that give you amazing food at cheap prices, I mean, you really can't beat that. And the fact that the Asian American dollar is meaning so much more these days, economic-wise, as you can see from the first 626 night market that happened a few months back. Yeah. The amount of people that turned out, I think the statistics were, they virtually spent no money on marketing, considering a lot of it was through social media. Right. And the fact that almost, I think, the amount of people that the Super Bowl had was in that small little parking lot, and that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, did anyone go to that? Because I did.
I did.
There was a night market in Pasadena a month ago or something, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
There's another one coming up too, so you can Google that, like 626
It's coming
night
up
market.
On July 28th, I believe. The next one. They're trying to revamp it and just.
Are they going to find a bigger location?
They found a bigger location. Yeah. So good luck to them on that. I mean, as a journalist covering the event, I was really proud just seeing how many people showed up and what potential this could really be for people coming out for such a cause, such an event. But as someone who was there to shop, I was mortified.
I mean, just to give people an idea who weren't there, they had to bring in cops. They had to shut down a whole street. Like, there were that many people. I had to park 20 minutes away walking just to get there. And once you get, it was insane. I've never seen, there was helicopters, police helicopters. And this is
what, people waiting 2 hours in just a line to get an item?
And so for people who don't know what the night market is, like, it's kind of like, anyone can correct me if they know more. It's like an Asian kind of tradition that happens a lot in Hong Kong and Singapore and Thailand, from what I've been told, where people go and shop at night for food, for little trinkets, and you just go when you see people around town, And because there is such a large Asian community and interest in a night market from whatever community you want to talk about, this was the very first thing that brought together people. Maybe they wanted a taste of home, maybe they wanted to show somebody what something is like. And I remember seeing on Facebook, people drove in from San Diego, from Santa Barbara.
People were tweeting, should I come in? I really think you guys should turn back right now. Giving you my advice. People were coming in from Irvine, from San Diego. Wow. It was insane. Like, I applaud them for trying to do this. But what makes it work in Asia is the fact that it goes by really quickly. If you want something, you go in, you get out. And I think just the organization of it, they didn't know how many people were turn out. I think they said maybe 2,000 people they expected, and it exceeded that like tenfold. So how are you going to handle that? But
and that's one of the challenges in today, especially with social media.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know how many people come
something
in.
is hip, and then everybody tweets it out, and they've got 20.
Or you confirm that you're going to go, and you bring 10 of your relatives and your best friends. So how are they going to know how many people are going to show up? So I wish them luck the next time, July 28th. So.
Yeah, I'm still hoping that they'll get that in the Mission District. I think it would be a beautiful space for something like that. But yeah, so what are some of your favorite places that you've eaten recently?
I really like Hakata Shinsengumi. It is for Japanese ramen, not the kind that you get, top cup of noodles, you pour it in. Right. It is absolutely delicious. It is just like how I have it in Japan. What else?
What city is that in?
That is in San Gabriel, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Is that by the CVS pharmacy?
It's right by the 888. There's a dim sum place right there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think me and Clarissa make a really good pair because I am more of the bizarre foods person, and she's very traditional. She likes the normal things, and so together we kind of take on everything at one time. So if there's anything, people tweet us all the time, you should try this place. We go out, we try it. If there's a grand opening, there's jobs available, we tweet that. We do everything we can. We talk to every single one of our fans, and we get feedback from them. So I really think that this can be something new for the San Gabriel Valley.
Are you aware that we have a top-ranked French restaurant on San Gabriel Boulevard. La Vie, correct? Yes. It is actually owned by a family who were trained in French cooking when Indochina was a French colony, and they have passed this down, and it's actually one of the best French restaurants in Los Angeles County, and it's tucked away down on San Gabriel Boulevard.
We have reviewed that place, and I've been going there for maybe me and my family for 15 years. I mean, it looks very shady from the outside. Small little parking lot. It looks like it could be a questionable place, but you go in there. I mean, where else can you get $15 to $20 for a whole meal? Salad, soup, tea, and your whole French meal. It's really hard to find, and it's quality too. So there's just so many things around here.
What is that place called again?
La Vie, Lavie.
Excellent.
And that's in
Rosemead.
Excellent. And there's farmers markets left and right all over San Gabriel Valley for the best organic produce. Like, this is the best place to be for food, honestly.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Can't go wrong.
You know, talking about the Vietnamese and the French influence, like, I love it when you go just to, like, even something as basic as Lee sandwiches. You know, there's a few around this area. And you go in there and they're selling pate and all these different things that if once you think about it, it makes sense, you know, but it takes a second.
Do you blog in English and in
We blog only in English, but we take over Twitter, we have a Tumblr, we have our own website, and we just listen to everyone. If you want us to try somewhere, we'll go. And we try to put a positive spin on everything. If some place had horrible service, we'll say, you know, this dish was really good, but maybe, you know, work a little bit on the service. We don't trash any place. We think it's so great that there's, you know, so many different competing businesses in San Gabriel. So we definitely try to see the best of everyone.
And it's nice to have someone who can explain culture, you know, because, like, for example, I had never gone to dim sum until I lived in New York. And then once I lived in New York and went with some people who had gone all the time, and then I realized there were so many back here in my own backyard, I've been exploring those more and more, and they're so delicious and so cheap. But there is that cultural thing of, you have to ask, you know, some people have a vest on, some people have a tie on. And if you, to the untrained eye, it's just waiters running around. But if you don't ask the right person for the right thing, it's kind of like you're offending them, or, you know.
And you know what the issue is? I think a lot of places don't have English menus, or, you know, they're not very welcoming to people who don't speak the language. And I think our food blog is really trying to change that. We do everything in English. We will type out how you would say something in Chinese, or, you know, whatever the case is, we really try to make things easier for someone, because there's lots of Chinese Americans that don't speak Chinese. There's so many issues. We try to do Vietnamese food as well. We try to do Mexican food as well. We try to do everything to really represent what the San Gabriel Valley is.
Right. You know, just out of curiosity, what are some of you guys' favorite restaurants? We'll start with Lucia, since she's pretty quiet today.
I don't have a favorite restaurant. I like everything.
I
did. Well, the recent restaurant that I discovered, and it's there in Baldwin Park, the Guadalajara Grill. I had never been there before.
Okay. Yeah. Do they have mariachis in the evening?
And they do. I think I forgot what the price is, but I went during a lunch buffet, and it was really good. It was actually, I think, I think it was Father's Day weekend or Mother's Day weekend. There was a lot of people, but it was really good.
That's next to the Home Depot, right?
Yeah, it's right next to there where all those little places are. But it's weird because I had always seen it, never gone there. Once I went there, it's like I want to go again.
When it comes to Italian restaurants, I think De Pia's in Rosemead is one that you have to include on your list.
That one's good.
They've been around for decades, right near the corner of Valley and Rosemead. On Valley, east of Rosemead. This may be one that's off the wall to some people, but I like their turkey meatloaf. I like their filet of sole, other various things, and that's the Diner in Alhambra. Yeah, and that's just a place that's part of the Benson family. There were several restaurants here in the area.
Is that the one at the end of Old Town?
It's part of the Old Town area. Okay. I realize that's just basically a diner. Yeah. But it's a nice place to go.
You know, speaking of diners, Goodies across the street from us is always great because now they have a new building, but they were in San Gabriel for a very long time. But they do kind of an old school diner thing of give you a little thing of peaches. You know, it reminds me of like a different time. It also reminds me of public school lunch, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. You know, but
now we get fresh peaches.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, I go to different cities for different artistic events. It really depends on where I'm at. If I'm out this way, it depends, obviously, on the meal, but if I were to have breakfast in this neck of the woods, I tend to go to the Jolly Jug right here in Nuvein. I really like it. I like the portion size. The price is good. I love their potatoes. They're so good.
You know what's cool about the Jolly Jug, too, is I go to a lot of community events, and they get a lot of awards for supporting the community. And you see it when you go in there. They have them all up. I also like that they have a full bar.
Yeah, that's right across the way.
It's
So
like Denny's with a
you
full
can
bar.
have fun and sober up at the same city. Right. Yeah.
That's
I like
funny.
the Cafe and Cha on Lower Azusa. I really enjoy that place. And then I work out in Pomona, so I tend to go to like the Sugar Rush Cafe in Walnut, which is also a great little spot there.
Oh, cool.
Love their Yukon fries. They're really good. Chips.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to one of these places for lunch, I think.
Have you ever eaten at any of these places out here?
I'm looking forward to trying that French restaurant, especially because La Vie, because it's at a reasonable price, too.
Yeah.
Check out our website, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out.
What is your guys' website?
It's 626 Foodettes, FOODETTES.com, and literally, if you're hungry, just go through all the posts. You'll have something to eat for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool too because it's kind of actually like my Twitter, which is Tell Us Now, TELLESNOW. It looks like Telly Snow for some reason, but it's actually what your guys' blog is kind of what I do because I love local news and I love world news, and those are kind of the two things I usually tweet. Sure. And you guys review food very local and then very global, you know, because I was reading something about food place in Hong Kong where people wait like an hour or two or something, right?
I did that.
Yeah, that's great. How long was the wait?
I waited for a ramen place in Hong Kong for about an hour and a half in the scorching heat. It was about 95 degrees and humid.
And that's regular,
I'm dripping in sweat.
Everyone does that regularly. They just line up.
Yeah, but it definitely takes some endurance. How much are you, or how far are you willing to go for a really good bowl of ramen? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So,
right.
Yeah.
It must taste really, really good after that.
It was really good.
That's a good point.
Let's talk a little bit about Lisa and her book. I think it's really cool that we live in a time where, you know, if somebody wants to write a book, they can.
Oh, absolutely.
And just tell us a little bit of the backstory and tell us.
I mean, just technically, I printed up the book. I sent it to this company called eBook Architects.
Well, let's even start behind that. Like, how did you get this idea?
In the past, I've had a very difficult time falling asleep. I would sit in bed and my mind would race. I'd think about my anxieties, the worries that I had from the day, the worries I had for the future, and just obligations, everyday things. And I actually found out on the CDC website that, in fact, 10% of people have some form of chronic insomnia.
What is that?
CDC, the Center for Disease Control. So that's our big government health website. And you can look up more information on sleep disorders there. But I designed my book because I was in bed with my husband, and no, I'm not going there.
Everyone's listening.
I know, but when he lays down in bed, he switches off straight away. He doesn't snore bad or anything, but I can tell he's asleep, and I'm just sitting there with my thoughts. So I asked him, and I said, Colby, how do you fall asleep so easily at night? I always have had this as long as I can remember, since I was a teenager, I've had a hard time falling asleep. And he said, picture the most beautiful, serene location that you could possibly imagine, and then just continue to imagine all the details of it and let it take you to sleep. So I pictured my favorite place, which is like a tropical setting of the Caribbean. And I pictured the glistening, smooth waters lapping up in my toes, the warm, soft summer sand at my feet, the rays of light coming down on me and just soothing me. And I just felt so happy and serene. And I fell asleep. And so the next thing is I woke up in the morning and I thought, this is it. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life so that I can fall asleep straight away. I'm going to take control of the third of my life that I sleep. If you think about 8 hours into 24, that's a third of your life that you should be sleeping. And, you know, I felt empowered in being able to fall asleep like this. So I've always been a philanthropist, and I just want to share this with other people. That's the underlying reason why I came up with this book. So what I've done, and I'll continue to do, is I think back to my travels throughout the world, to Spain, Hawaii, the Caribbean, different parts of the U.S., Southern California, our beautiful home state, and I write about it. It's very short. It's about a page description per each dream prompt. And they're paired with photographs that I've actually taken at these locations. This is one form of dream prompts. So basically, you can read the description if you're a visual learner, as many of us are. You can look at the pictures as well and just continue to imagine these beautiful settings. And it takes you away and helps you release your worries, your stresses. Because when the world seems small and you're not picturing all the beautiful, bountiful nature out there, your worries seem bigger, your stresses seem bigger. When you take a step back and realize, hey, I'm part of this gorgeous, beautiful worldwide community, then all of a sudden those little stresses don't seem so big. They seem kind of trivial, and you realize what's really important, and it just
that's wonderful.
Release your worries.
So how do people get a hold of your book?
Well, it's online on the Kindle store right now. So you can get it for your Kindle.
What's it called?
It's called 33, the first book is called 33 Dream Prompts Using Imagination for Restful Sleep and Stress Relief. And I called it Dream Prompts because it's like a writing prompt, for school.
Yeah, it's a great name.
But it's for your imagination to take you off. And I actually, inside these dream prompts, I've incorporated tons of meditative techniques, deep breathing, and all these other strategies for falling asleep. You don't need to learn about what the strategies are. You can just, as you read them.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think the idea of just empowering yourself. Exactly. Sleep is something sometimes you don't think of having control over, but you can. And like nonprofits, I know at Pio Pico, it was like you have all these things that are stressing us out because the park is supposed to close, right? But as soon as you say, okay, well, here's my plan that I'm going to execute, no matter what it is, your mind just changes of, I don't know, like you're in charge, right? If you aren't, who knows? But at least you feel like
it's huge.
Yeah, definitely. No matter what you're doing, I mean, especially if you feel like you're involved in the plan or if you devise the plan, especially, things get a lot easier. Even if they're not perfect, I mean, yeah, they definitely. And with sleep, I do different things to go to sleep. One of the things I like to do is I have a go-to book that helps me go to sleep only because it's so familiar to me now that I actually start replacing the text with what I already know what's coming next.
Yeah.
And because it's kind of like watching your favorite movie over and over again. After you watch it, you watch it several hundreds times, you know what's going to happen. So of course you start, dozing off because you know that you'll wake up and you'll go, oh, I know exactly what happened before then.
Yeah, so, that sounds like how you could use dream prompts. Just even except that it has the natural settings and the meditation. And I actually was thinking about it. I used to lose like an hour of sleep trying to fall asleep, thinking about my studies, my work, everything. And if you calculate that out, 1 hour a day, 365 days a year, that means you're losing 15 days of sleep a year if you're trying to fall asleep. Definitely worth looking into.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break, and we have a new feature. We're going to be playing local news every now and again on our station. So we'll take a break, play some local news, catch some people up, and then we'll be back to finish the last portion of our show.
This is a KMVR Rosemead Community Activity Alert. Everyone knows about car washes and auto tune-ups, but what about wheelchairs? They need to be cleaned and tuned up as well. Why not do it for free? Then throw in manicures, haircuts, and even massages for the wheelchair owners if desired. This is exactly what will happen on Sunday, July 15th, 2012, at the East Los Angeles Civic Center from 10 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m., courtesy of Familia Unida, a support group for those with multiple sclerosis, and its partners, including in this case the Rosemead High School Key Club. See the rosemeadkiwanis.org website for full details.
The City of Baldwin Park will be hosting a Pride of the Valley 5K run Saturday, August 4th. For more information, visit www.baldwinpark.com.
Mid-Valley News, serving the San Gabriel Valley since 1966. All right, everybody, welcome back to Around the Valley. Today is July 10th, and finishing up the second part of the show, Florence, I know you wanted to mention some stuff. We're just going to hit kind of a little review or different things we think are important, and we'll call it a day. So take it away.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the discussion's been fantastic. I think thank you for inviting me. This is a fantastic program. I think one of the things that I wanted to touch on is we were talking earlier a little bit about some of the government cuts and the different things that happen. I think it's vital that organizations connect together and come together within a community in order to really help sustain the community and sustain the programs. The government's going to be taking large chunks out of the Farm Bill and out of food donations. states are cutting arts programs so dramatically now.
Yeah.
And with this, it's causing stress, and people can't even sleep at night.
It's all connected.
Yeah, but at the same time, we still have parts of the economy that are viable, and people are going out to eat, and they are doing things, and they're trying to make a difference. So it's a way that we can all connect and bring everybody together as a community to really keep the community evolving. And some of that in San Gabriel Valley is extremely challenging because of the language differences, the cultural differences, the generation gaps. Are you moving from a radio format or a paper format or a Twitter format? So
it's one of the challenges though. Like, and just to piggyback off I'm right there with you. Just a little anecdote: the city of Old Town La Puente. When we tell them that there's an art walk there, they're like, "Where's that?" And I'm like, "Old Town what?" They don't even know there's an Old Town La Puente. They might know it because it turns up on True Blood searches when they look for scenes. But when we approached them to start, that art walk started as a coffee shop showcase of art at a coffee shop that had just opened in that town. It started as, let's have an art show at this new coffee shop that looks very quaint. We'll have an acoustic guitar, maybe some poetry, and then I gathered a group of people together from different walks of life, even a local artist who actually had a studio that wasn't really well known at the time in Old Town. We came together and I said, well, why don't we just make it an art walk? And it all snowballed from there. So there is a need. Yeah, there's cutbacks. Yeah, there's different resource pools that are pulling back. But everyone is definitely hungry for things that give people hope, especially in very stark times. And our trifold motto at Nuvein is educate, encourage, and showcase. We work to empower the youth by giving them something to aspire to, whether they express themselves creatively through writing, through acting, dancing, painting, sculpting, photography, modeling, whatever it is. The youth nowadays, as it is, are looking more into themselves, whether it's technology because it's self-gratification or whatever it is. People are tending to look more inwards and wanting to show the world how great they are, either by YouTube or Facebook or their Twitter or whatever. People want to share only because what's out there is a largely growing apathetic, indifferent world. And so when you use arts as kind of a tool to connect people, and you look at what we've done in La Puente, in Old Town La Puente specifically, there are new businesses that are starting there. There's a new city council that's dynamic and is on board with the art walk. There's a gallery that has now exploded into life. They had a very successful Batman-themed art show last month where we had about 450 people, if not more, attend in a single night. This art walk that's coming up August 18th, we're going to have about 8 galleries of art, approximately about walking distance about 1.5 miles. So it's not that, from one end to the other, there's going to be booths, merchants, live music all day long. And again, with a very shoestring budget, because Nuvein is obviously not very well off financially. We're not very rich. We're they categorize us as an emerging nonprofit. I like to joke and say we're more of an upstart than a startup. But when you do offer opportunities, whether it's food outreach, whether it's creative writing, whether it's philanthropic work, whether it's empowering communities and connecting them by food, a common experience, music, whatever it is, as long as you speak in their language of, you know what, yeah, you and I are different, but we might get along here, that's a starting point for great things.
Yeah,
it really makes a difference.
It really does, and it was nice to see during our break that everyone was talking. It's like, hey, can you tweet this for me from your account, even though one's a nonprofit and one's food, because, like you said, there's shared experiences. And also a lot of times people who read news, I like to read about different things. I don't like it when I'm reading 100 stories and it's all exactly the same. And a lot of times news is negative because that gets more clicks and that gets more advertising. So it's nice when you're like, oh, I wouldn't normally see that, but that's interesting. I'll check that out. It's like your art walk. It's like everything that everyone is doing today. One of the things that's nice about the San Gabriel Valley during the summer is we have a lot of summer concerts. And I feel like that's relatively new, that's really picked up steam, that almost every single city except San Gabriel, and I'll keep saying that until they do have a summer concert. They have these free summer concerts, and people have a good time there because even if, and we were talking about this off the air, but, San Gabriel Valley has people from, Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala. It's not uncommon, right, to meet people from Honduras, Nicaragua, and then you have people from, all the assortment of Asian countries and just, Eastern Europe. You just never know who you're going to meet. There are so many languages here, and things like art, things like music that can be appreciated no matter what you speak, are more valuable probably here than anywhere else in the United States.
And it's even in dark economic times, the statistics do show that employers are looking for people that think outside of the box, that are willing to do a lot for little, and are able to think dynamically. And what is not that if not an artist? Artists are typically used to working and doing a lot for not very much. Unfortunately, that's how it works out. That's the cliche, the waiter, the actor who's waiting or whatever. But at the same time, we're able to look at things in different angles.
No, that's really true. I heard someone speak once. He was the guy who played Barkley, the dog on Sesame Street. And he said one of the most important things you need to learn if you're going to be an actor is how to make a single chicken in 20 meals.
Take that, Rachel Ray.
No, and it's really true. Yeah. Anyways, it's been a really interesting show today. Let's finish it up with some interesting upcoming events. Does anyone know of anything going on? Art, start Art.
National Night Out, the 2012 celebration. This is nationwide. It's been going on for 3 decades. We will be celebrating it in Rosemead on August the 7th from 6 until 9 o'clock p.m. at the Public Safety Center.
Is that the event that's kind of like against violence for women, or is it something else?
Well, that is certainly included, but basically it is against crime in general. The idea is that you have had the Sheriff's Department and the city partnering with all these other groups to bring the crime rate down. We're about 60% below the county rate in violent crimes, including that in this area.
Take Back the Night, is that the same thing, or is it?
This is the National Night Out celebration. And they'll be having free hot dogs. They'll be having awards to the ham radio operators, because this isn't just bringing crime down. We're also talking about emergency preparedness for the earthquake. You've got your neighborhood watch groups, your ham operators. Everybody's going to be there. And this is something that we do once a year. It happens to be the next project for the Rosemead Connections group. We'll be doing the final planning for that here at the end of this month.
How many ham operators do we have in this area? These people just volunteering their time?
Well, I have both of my stepsons that are ham operators. I know that for sure. I do not know how many hundred there are, but they are organized into various groups operating out of the sheriff's.
Can you fill people in what that is who don't know what that is?
Oh, a ham operator is an amateur radio operator, and basically these are people who have mastered radio technology well enough that they are allowed to go onto the radio with other ham operators, both in emergencies and just talking with one another with code and whatever. There are different levels of licenses depending upon what tests you've passed and whatever. And locally, they are able to work in emergencies completely apart from the cell systems, completely apart from the telephones. They have their own battery-operated relay stations up here in the mountains, and everybody else's communications are out.
Like the windstorm.
Their ham operators will get through. Windstorm was a good example. They simply assign their people to their districts. They stay in contact with one another, and they work with the law enforcement authorities, with FEMA and the others, to get us through whatever we have to do. So they do a great job, and they're there in the background. Nobody ever thinks about them until you have a disaster.
Yeah. And they will be the group that definitely saves and helps us get through any disaster. With LA Unified, I help work the emergency command, and it's amazing when you run these operation drills and you have no electricity, no internet connection, no cell phone connection. How do you get the word out to the masses? And they will be the ones, the ham operators, who really help us respond when the big one does come.
Yeah, geez. Lucia, any positive events for us?
Well, there is. I know, let's be true to her. Okay, well, on this Thursday, actually, at Morgan Park in Baldwin Park, they're going to be having a concert at the park. Sabor is going to be playing. They're a Carlos Santana tribute, so it's going to be pretty good. And they'll also be having food trucks on site for the food trucks. Yeah, there will be a percentage of those proceeds that they get from the food trucks will be going towards the annual Santa Clothes program. So you can get more information on this and all the other events going on in Baldwin Park on their city website. It's www.baldwinpark.com, and you can check out a lot of those events going on. I also I read that the Nuvein organization is having a comic book expo.
Yes,
when will that be?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you got me there. That's an event that independent comic book creator and illustrator Javier Hernandez, who did the El Muerto comic book that was turned into a film feature with Wilder Valderrama a few years ago. Him and his committee are organizing, he heads our artistic outreach and program. They're organizing a comic book expo for next spring there at the Arc. So we're in the planning stages now. We're kind of building a team. We've run the comic book, it used to be called the Comic Book Festival, San Gabriel Valley Comic Book Festival. We used to hold it at the Club Cubano de San Gabriel in Lower Azusa. Okay. But we're actually taking a 2-year hiatus only because there's been, obviously with the economy, there's been new developments as far as independent comic book illustrators moving elsewhere or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So we're reforming a team to launch it specifically at the Baldwin Park Arc, only because we want to involve, because the Baldwin Park Arc has a good record of having student art shows. Mm-hmm. So we want to use that as a tie-in for the event and kind of, again, diversify our approach to incorporate different parties to make a bigger event.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I have an event. El Monte on Saturday, July 28th is doing Christmas in July, and it's at the Moose Lodge. So I don't know if people are familiar with the Moose group. I don't know much, but I do know there's a lot of drinking involved normally. Am I right, Art, or am I wrong?
I have never been to a Moose meeting. I do not know.
Well, I should take that back. Well, I'll bring in a Moose person to talk about it later in the future. But, there's the Moose Lodge, there's the Elk Lodge, there's, a lot of different lodges. Actually, there's a lodge called CACA, Chinese American, I can't remember what the last CA stands for.
Association?
Yeah, something association. But they're based actually on the Sons of the Golden West, and so they're actually also called lodges. There's that whole time of these different, groups. But anyways, they're doing that July 28th. That's kind of fun. Temple City is having a Beatles concert tribute on Wednesday the 11th. So I guess you could see the Beatles tribute in Temple City on Wednesday, and then Thursday you could see the Carlos Santana tribute in Baldwin Park. That would be very, very interesting. Maybe I'll write a story about that. That'd be interesting.
If each of the cities could host, a different genre or a different thing, then you could just move from city to city each week throughout the whole summer.
Yeah, actually you could. I put together a list, and you can Google Mid-Valley News Summer Concerts to find the list, but it's all the different things. And I thought about doing that, kind of spending just 1 week going to all the concerts, because there's some interesting stuff. There was a No Doubt tribute band earlier this year. Yeah. There was a rockabilly show, I think, that's happening in El Monte or later on.
Yeah, in El Monte.
See, you tie that into to the Asian night market, and that travels each month along with the concert.
Right. There you go.
Sean, yes. I'm curious about one thing. I know that Rosemead has its concerts on Friday nights. I have learned that some other cities have theirs on specific nights. Is there a coordinating group that is actually putting all of this together?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think you're looking at it.
No, I don't think most of them. I don't think coordinate.
They work
just look at when other
other.
people have it, and then they try not to.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because it was actually a really big story in the San Gabriel Valley that we didn't talk about. It's called SGVCOG, I believe, San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, and they're like the city council for the San Gabriel Valley, in parentheses. Yeah. And I don't know if you heard, but the president was, I think, investigated by the FBI and arrested on 4 counts of something or other.
Oh no!
Yeah, Google that story.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and also 2 other headline stories we had this year, or this week. One of the top wives for Mexican mafia was arrested in El Monte.
Oh yeah.
The LA Times, I think, covered that. Wow. And then also, there's that Rosemead butcher shop. That's kind of like Buddhists, and some people say it's Buddhist, some people say it's not, but they kill live chickens there, and so there was this controversy for the past, months. We talked about it months ago, and they're trying to shut it down because the people in the city say it smells bad and yada yada. The people who have it say this is a religious freedom issue. So that actually was in the LA Times recently, and that's in Rosemead. And so anyway, so the interesting things happening in our area. Anyone else have any events?
I guess also on the same day, July 28th, is going to be the second 626 night market.
Oh, nice.
And they're going to plan on having it at the Pasadena City Council or City Hall.
Oh,
so it's going to be a bigger venue. So
Pasadena City Hall is a beautiful space, too, if you've never seen it. And I wanted to mention earlier when we mentioned the night market that, hats off to Pasadena, because the reason I understand a big part of that night market happening is because their city looked at their events and said, are we, having an event for each culture, more or less? Are we giving people that live in Pasadena equal share, right, of our resources? And so they realized that they weren't giving the API community resources, and they decided to do something. So that's great for Pasadena. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, Nuvein has a few events actually coming up in these next 2 months. I won't go too far ahead, even though they talk
Hey,
about
welcome
that
anytime. You can come back later.
Next week. We have an event actually coming up this Saturday in South Pasadena. South Pasadena is having their arts crawl. The South Pasadena Arts Council and the South Pasadena Chamber of Commerce and Nuvein, we're actually hosting one event as part of that giant event at the Fremont Center Theater there. It's called Visions and Voices of the Valley, which will have a featured open mic, as well as we'll feature 2 readers. One, John Branningham of the creative writing department at Mount Sac, and also head of the Valley Poets, and he's actually organizing the San Gabriel Valley Literary Festival, by the way. And then the other gentleman is an established poet in Pasadena, Don Kingfisher Campbell, who runs a long-standing group there and runs the San Gabriel Valley Poetry Festival. So we're going to feature East and West San Gabriel Valley poets that are pretty well known in their respective
cool. I didn't know there
scenes.
was a poetry festival.
Yeah, so that'll be this Saturday, and then we as an organization, because we can't run on free for too long, we have a fundraiser coming up Tuesday, July 17th, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Hacienda Heights Pizza Company off Gale and Turnbull Canyon.
Is that good pizza?
It's good pizza. I do like it. All you need to do is really say when you make your purchase that day, all day, is simply say, I'm here to support the Nuvein Foundation, and 20% of the proceeds go to our organization so that we can continue handing out scholarships to struggling artists, as well as continue offering programming out in the communities all over San Gabriel Valley.
All right, that's great. Oh, Art.
9th Annual Wheelchair Wash Day for Familia Unida.
Yeah, that was our show last week.
We talked about that extensively last week, but it is coming up July 15th. That's a Sunday from 10 o'clock till 6 o'clock p.m. If you have someone in your family or in your circle of friends who has a wheelchair, they will wash the wheelchair, they will fix the wheelchair, and whoever is in the wheelchair, if they want it, can have a manicure, a haircut, and even a massage.
Really?
And it's completely free.
That is wonderful.
And this is completely free. This is the 9th time we've done it. Our Rosemead Kiwanis Key Club members from Rosemead High School will be there helping out, so will some of our Kiwanians. And this is something, because it started in Rosemead, that we've been with from the beginning, and we're happy to be with.
Yeah, that's nice. And it's taking place close to ELAC.
Yes.
Kind of close to that Sheriff's Department station.
East LA Civic Center, 4801 East 3rd Street's the actual address.
Yeah, that's great.
Just one last plug for the food drive. If you can please make any donations possible. If you don't want to donate cans, we'll be willing to take money as well through July 27th.
That's great. And we should say, actually, Mike Ng, the Assemblyman, started off giving $100 to that already, so that was very nice of him. He came to the press conference and, showed his support physically and financially.
Yeah, he's always been a great supporter for both organizations and for San Gabriel and San Gabriel Valley. So
cool.
Very appreciative.
Go ahead, Lisa, one more.
Sorry, last
great.
one.
It's great to learn about all these things.
I read this in your newspaper, and today in Pasadena, there is going to be a yoga for sleep to aid cancer patients. I strongly believe in yoga. It's the physical part of it, whereas my book deals with the meditation, the thinking process.
Yeah.
I would love, if I had the funding, to freely distribute my book to all the people who attend this free seminar. So it's specifically for cancer patients, and the yoga can help them fall asleep easily as well. And this is at 200 East Daymar Boulevard, Suite 118 in Pasadena, tonight from 7 p.m. to 8:15, and it's free.
That's great. And, even if you miss it, it probably cycles back and you can get on the lists.
Yeah,
and,
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a great event. Great, sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, one last time. I mentioned this event a few times already, but I make an open invitation here on the air and anyone here. The La Puente Art Walk will be on August 18th. It'll be from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. there will be booth spaces. So if you have a particular organization that you want representation there, go ahead and talk to me, and I can show you how you can do that. We will have no food vendors there, only because we're trying to promote, again, the local economy. They have about 8 good standing restaurants there in the area. And we welcome anyone and everyone who wants to go and have a great time. There'll be plenty of stuff to do that day.
Great. All right. Well, let's just go around the mics and just sign off and let people know the best way to get a hold of you or check out your stuff. Lucia?
Okay, well, I'm Lucia Flores. I'm a host of Rolas, which you can listen to here on midvalleyradio.net. And I'm also a resident of Baldwin Park.
I'm Kristie, and you can follow me and my partner Clarissa at 626foodettes.com, and it's our Twitter handle as well, so 626 FOODETTES.
And I'm Florence Simpson with LA Unified School District and La Casa de San Gabriel. The best way to get a hold of me is florence.simpson@lausd.net.
Rosemead Kiwanis website is rosemeadkiwanis.org. We have a community calendar there of all of the events in Rosemead, and also an email address that you can send to us if you want.
Lisa Klein, author of the Dream Prompts series. My website is at www.dreamprompts.com, so DREAMPROMPTS. I have a Twitter account. Everything's under Dream Prompts, and you can get a hold of my book either through my website or on Amazon Kindle, and just search 33 Dream Prompts. It'll pop up.
Again, I'm Chris Trevilla, president of the Nuvein Foundation. You can get a hold of me or the Nuvein Foundation at through our website, www.nuvein.org, or you can find us on Facebook under Nuvein Foundation. You can check our page there, which is updated often with our events and our happenings.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and it was a great show, very interesting. I'm always impressed by the kind of work people are doing in our valley, in our area. It's impressive. You guys are doing important work, and thanks for coming to share it with us.
Thank you for having us.